Hi everyone, welcome to the podcast number three. And here we basically discuss insightful conversations on entrepreneurship, wellness, and the social culture. So today I have with me Adya. So let me introduce Adya. Adya is basically joining us from Gurgaon, and Adya is a researcher and she works as an assistant professor at the Department of English Studies at GD Goenka University. Uh, what broadly, let us here is basically our mutual interest on artificial intelligence because it is really growing very rapidly. And we wanted to have a brief discussion on what are the impacts of AI on human beings, humanity, not only from the perspective of the job market, from the corporate angle, but from a wide angle. So, welcome Adya to this podcast, and I'm really looking forward to have some insightful conversations with you.
Thank you, Advaita. I
Thank you.
really wanted us to collaborate on this since really long. And now that it is happening, I am more than excited to, be having this conversation with you. So thank you
Same here.
again for
Yeah.
having me. So, Advaita, for the purpose of this conversation, I have noted down a few questions wherein
Okay.
I have tried to cover most of the things, related to the entire dynamic of artificial intelligence from a social landscape per se, right? So just like, let's get started. So, Advait, my first question to you would be, across the corporate landscape, we've all been reading multiple things and, engaging with various standpoints on the exact, meaning and engagement of artificial intelligence, and also the exact thing that, what artificial intelligence, like, would lead us to from like a futuristic perspective, right? So it is essential to be having this conversation, I feel, not exclusively only from the space of a corporate landscape, but also a societal ecological landscape at large. So from a broader perspective, Advait, what are your thoughts on the evolving human value system to begin with?
Okay. I think that's a great question because when we are discussing about artificial intelligence, it's always good to revisit what does it mean to be human. Although we all know, what it means to be human, and we all understand our value system. But I think it's good to revisit and to remind ourselves that what it means to be human. So I think human beings are the highest expression of organic life on Earth amongst millions of species on land and underwater. And I think human beings have the capability of operating from various guiding principles, be it emotional, be it logical, be it rational, uh, ethical, or from the morality standpoint. So I think that is what the human value system is all about, and I think that is what separates us, from the rest of the species, because we operate from these various guiding principles, and that's what I think the human value system is all about. To put in context, because I think. Uh, I think that's a very good context, from where we should have this entire discourse and this discussion on artificial intelligence.
All right, absolutely. And that's a wonderful response that you've given. And while you were answering, I have also been noting down a few more points. So, Advais, this brings me to my second question. So,
Mhm.
as we just discussed that human beings are the most rational and the most advanced species on Earth, right? So, is it also extremely reasonable to assume that our choices, which all of us are making as a human race, are by and large good choices? Also, here I am asking from the context of choosing to create advanced AI systems. How do you, actually see this entire wave?
Uh, I think although we are the most rational creatures on Earth, but if we look down history, if we look back into history, uh, we have also been instrumental in creation of various crises, various wars across the timeline. Uh, I think this is a duality which basically comes into our nature. I think this is our nature. On the one hand of the spectrum, we are very diverse, we are very progressive, and we are very rational. We keep, inventing new stuff. We keep inventing cool things for our own convenience. But at the same time, there's also always a chance of sort of, that something else is also brewing on the sidelines, which we are not aware of. Uh, I am reminded of Carl Jung. He said that we all have our shadow selves as individuals as well as a collective, right? So I think that although we are very rational and although we keep inventing cool stuff, but what we need to be cognizant about is that we also need to be cognizant about our shadow self as an individual and as collective. Now, coming to the second part of your question, that we are creating these advanced AI systems. Uh,
Yeah.
so I think AI systems are already doing great. There are disciplines wherein specific AI systems are outperforming human beings. For example, in medical science, it's been researched that AI can reduce the probability of a medical mishappening by almost 20 to 25%. Now that is a great number. Uh, on the other hand, Amazon already has about 600 books which have been co-authored by ChatGPT already. So
Wow.
the this entire process is happening very fast. So although on the one hand, we are progressing very fast, but on the other hand, I think we need to look and we need to be careful that where are we going? Because the idea is not to be used by AI. The idea is to use AI for our own development in all aspects. So, although yes, we are the most progressive creatures on earth, but we bring along our own, I would say, negative sides in various forms, which keeps manifesting itself. So yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. And, that's been a very wonderful response because, while you were answering and I was thinking, Advaita, I feel that, being a devil's advocate and my counter, like, to what you said, is just that, we've just had three industrial revolutions in the past, right? And if I look back, we've been almost, we've not done very bad in all of those spaces, right? As compared to all of the previous times in history. So, Advait, can you speak about what is so unique about the upcoming fourth industrial revolution and the advent of AI in that entire
yeah.
space?
Uh, so if you look at each industrial revolutions, Industrial Revolution 1, 2, and 3, they've all led to massive developments. They've all made our lives very comfortable. They have given us cars, they have given us washing machines, they have given us dishwashers, they have given us airplanes and whatnot. But as I said, in the previous question, that everything comes at a cost. And there's always this dynamic of order and chaos in everything, which we do. So let's get back to the first industrial revolution. So the first industrial revolution, you know, uh, it basically got steam engine into existence, right? And which basically enabled transportation at a huge scale. Now, the first industrial revolution's byproduct was also French Revolution, which led to a lot of deaths. If I talk about the second industrial revolution, the second industrial revolution was responsible for creating assembly lines, creating mass production, factories, industrialization, some of urbanization because people were moving from far-flung areas towards, where these factories were, where these people were employed, uh, sometimes as laborers as well. and they were not paid very well. Uh, but nevertheless, it caused a lot of progress. But what came as a result, not as a result, what came as a side effect of the second industrial revolution were world wars, right? I'm not sure of
Yeah.
the exact timeline, but I think World War One definitely came as a side effect of the second industrial revolution. And apart from that, dangerous ideologies like communism, socialism, these doctrines, also started coming into existence. And if you look to the third industrial revolution, so the third industrial revolution did not particularly had wars as a side effect, because the third industrial revolution was more towards digitalization, globalization, where people could now sort of connect with each other over the internet, right? But it had its own side effects, like for example, it broke through the social fabric. It disintegrated the family unit, because earlier from joint families, we have slowly graduated towards nuclear families. And I think that in times to come, uh, we might even graduate towards something which is lesser than a nuclear family. Already I was reading this statistics that many people are choosing not to get married, because they are so consumed by their work, they are so consumed by everything which is around them, so much of development, so much of distractions as a result of these things, uh, that these are the side effects. But if we specifically talk about the fourth industrial revolution, so fourth industrial revolution is something which changes us as individuals, and that is the difference. Um, the the president of World Economic Forum, for example, Klaus Schwab, he specifically said that the only difference between all the other industrial revolutions and the ongoing fourth industrial revolution, because we are standing at the cusp of the fourth industrial revolution, sorry, is that fourth industrial revolution changes you as an individual. Now, what he means by that is worth pondering on. That how does something change what it means to be human, right? So I think, as you rightly mentioned, these things have given us great progress, great medical facilities, great transportation facilities, but they've also come at a cost. And a part of the reason, why we are having this discussion specifically today on the dark side of AI, because we've also planned a discussion to have on the brighter side of AI in the next episode with you only. Because I think that it's important to acknowledge and to be aware of the entire spectrum of anything new. It could be AI, it could be anything. But since today we are talking about AI, so I think it's important to be aware of what is the dark side of AI, so that when we are progressing ahead with AI, we are cognizant of the fact that we don't have to fall towards the other side. So yeah.
Absolutely. And what you just said, indicating towards the fourth industrial revolution that, has really taken my attention. You said that, it comes with the cost of changing the individual fabric,
Yeah.
of what it is human to be human. And
Yes.
it might be good, but at the same time, it's also intimidating. If you think, from an extremely broader perspective. So, Advait, this brings me to my fourth question. So, since you've been actively engaged in the entire space of artificial intelligence, for a very long time, to what extent do you think that, the entire dynamic or the entire discourse of AI will actually, replace humans? And also, does this also translate to the fact that, now the future is transhuman, which is scary, but also how it is? If you could
Yeah.
uh,
Uh,
talk from this.
yeah. I think it does point to the fact that the future is transhuman. Um, what was your first part of the question? I missed that.
The first part of the question is that, since you are someone who has been engaged with the space of AI, since over a decade now, right? So do you feel that the entire discourse of artificial intelligence has the capability to replace humans?
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
very
Okay. Yeah. So I think yes, we've been having this discussion. Say, if you go on LinkedIn, I'm sure you've seen the various discussions and discourse happening around that how can AI replace human jobs, right? AI has already started replacing a lot of human jobs, and that is explained by the current layoffs, especially in the tech industry. Although, that's also a byproduct of recession and the overall slowing down of the global economy. But a lot of it is also to do with artificial intelligence. Um, but, again, the deeper question is that how can AI change what it means to be human? And I think that in itself you know, is pointing towards your question only, that does it
yeah.
mean that when something changes the way it is, then it is in a way replaced? So the answer could be yes, it could be no. But I think here the answer is slightly yes, and it could happen because now coming towards the second part of your question, and then linking both parts. Uh, so we've all have seen that in the past 1 week or so, noted figures like Elon Musk and Dr. Yuval Harari, who is a noted historian and a noted social scientist, have been advocating to halt the current artificial intelligence development from now and onwards for a particular amount of time, 6 months. So they have been proposing for a moratorium on that. And what they are saying is that artificial intelligence system is developing at such a rapid pace that the human consciousness also needs to develop, accordingly, to sort of match to the artificial intelligence. Now, what does it mean? What do they mean when they say this? That we also need to develop the human consciousness. Human consciousness is something that cannot be developed by two or three individuals sitting at the top of the hierarchy, the top 1%, like Elon Musk, Dr. Yuval Harari, Gates, or anybody else.
Okay.
What they actually mean is worth pondering upon. And this again points to the last part of your question, which is, does it mean that we are moving towards transhumanism? So yes, exactly. That is what they are saying. When they say that the human consciousness needs to be evolved, needs to be developed, to be matched by, to be matched at the same level to AI development, what they mean is that they want to, that they might want to put, say, a chip inside your brain, uh, which Elon Musk is already working on. By the way, it's called Neuralink. Now, a device like that basically operates on the neural interfaces. What happens is that this chip is embedded in the brain, and this chip is able to receive inputs from your brain. It is able to understand your thoughts. It is able to understand your intentions. It is able to understand your choices, etc., and accordingly give you an output. And I think that's already happening in some sense, because we all have our phones too, like at our disposal all the time. Now, our phones right now is basically nothing but an extended part of us, because a lot of our information is on the phone. Our social life is on phone. Our virtual personalities and social personalities, is on our phone, right? So if you see, what's happening on our phone is that we are basically using our fingers to put in inputs. on the phone. So for example, if you want to dial someone's number, you are opening the keypad and you are inputting their number through your fingers. That's an input. And the phone returns you an output by calling that number, and the person who you want to speak with is connected. Another example is that you are inputting some question on your phone on Google, let's say, and through your fingers, and the phone is giving you an output accordingly, as per whatever question you have inputted, right? Now, this is already happening. And on the other hand, vice versa is also true, because not only the phone is receiving your inputs and giving you a result, the phone is also able to implant a seed of thought or influence you. Because when you see ads, when you see, propaganda on phone, especially political, right? When you see, social activism on phone, it could be good or bad, both, right? So somewhere down the line, you are being influenced by the information which is being seen on your phone by you, and then you are trying to, assimilate it in your head. So your phone is not only taking your inputs and converting it into outputs, at the same time, it is also influencing you by showing you ads, by showing you, propaganda, by showing you mass media, whatever they want to, whatever narrative they want to push, so that is also being shown to you on the phone, and those things are influencing you at the end of the day. So now here's an external device. uh, Elon Musk says, and other noted people like him say that this external device would be made internal in the form of a chip which goes into your brain, which not only will take your inputs as, in the form of your thoughts, in the form of your choices, intention, try to understand what kind of a person you are, how do you think, etc., through, understanding your neural networks of the brain, but at the same time also it will be able to influence you just like the phone does, right? So I think this leads us to a point of technological singularity, since you spoke about transhumanism, wherein the merging of man and machine will take place. And that in itself is an idea which is worth pondering upon, because uh, once this is set into motion, right, then this becomes a part of the evolutionary timeline for times to come, for decades to come, for centuries to come, right? And we need to be aware of the fact, we need to make informed choices and informed decisions as people, that if we are accepting this, right, then this becomes a part of our evolutionary timeline from now on. And next generations and next to next generations which will come, you know, uh, you know, uh, they will be transhumans, not from birth, but basically once they are, in this world. So just like, when a kid is born these days, so on the first few days, there are certain kinds of vaccinations or certain kinds of injections or certain kinds of medications he has to be given as part of, like he or she being into this world. So similarly, this could be a part of, uh, the ritual, right? So yes, it definitely leads us to transhumanism, because in order to match up to the AI capabilities which they are saying, uh, I think there's no other way, because when they say that the human consciousness needs to be evolved, needs to be developed, right? So in a way, they are taking it upon themselves that they want to take this responsibility and accountability of developing it. And it's no secret that, Neuralink is a pet project of Elon Musk and the likes, and
Absolutely.
that is how, they plan to bring humans, at the same page as AI is. So yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Uh, that's been a wonderful and a very deep response of that, because I think while you were answering, actually touched base on a lot of different parameters for, what is the newer understanding of the entire phenomenon, of transhumanism. And with your response, it brings me to my last question with you. So, as an industry professional, you have been actively engaged in the space of AI. I think it's been a decade now for you. So, if you're to share one takeaway from this conversation, rooted in exploring, if I may say, the dark side of AI, and also the upcoming opportunities for people in the entire space, in the entire age of AI, what would those be?
Um, so I think just like we discussed the dark side of AI today, there is a brighter side to AI as well. And for that, it would certainly deserve an entire episode of its own, because that would also entail a lot of conversations. So I think we'll be having those conversations in our next episode. But I think a takeaway could be that we need to be self-aware, and we need to make an informed choice and informed decision, because all this is already happening. And I think a lot of us are not trying to understand the nuanced meaning behind all this, right? So I'm not saying that we need to stop this or something like that. I'm just saying that it's important to make an informed choice and an informed decision, and be aware of the dark side, so that we can avoid that side consciously, and consciously choose to operate on the brighter side of AI, which again, gives us multitudes of opportunities. Uh, uh, you know, uh, Human beings are great creatures, and we have some things which an artificial intelligence might not ever replicate. Uh, but again, I think over the decades, our social quotient has gone down, because when mass digitalization came in as a result of the late third industrial revolution, towards the later part of the third industrial revolution, increasingly we stopped looking at each other, and instead we started looking on our screens more. Like, if you go out in a social setting, on a dinner, on coffee with friends and family, we see around and we see that a lot of people are looking into their phones instead of looking at each other. So yes, our social quotient has definitely gone down. Also,
Absolutely.
yesterday I was playing with this very interesting AI app, uh, which is basically creating uh, replica models.
Wow.
So 2D, like two-dimensional replica models on your screen, and
Wow.
you can generate any speech, through text to speech input. Like, you type, and this male or this female model, which actually does not exist, but when you look at them on your phone, it is indistinguishable from a real human being. Like they don't exist, but they are indistinguishable from a real human being. They are literally speaking to you. They are modulating their tonality of their voice. So it's very exciting, but at the same time a bit scary as well. Another application, AI application, which I forgot to mention as part of your last question, is this replica AI, right? A very interesting, but a very scary sort of a concept once again. So imagine, there's a young young guy uh, who is feeling lonesome or feeling lonely, and the social quotients have already gone down, as we discussed. So this young man, this young boy, can literally take out his phone and create a model of a woman, of whatever age, like his age, let's say, uh, and can treat this woman as his virtual girlfriend, which actually does not exist, right? And this AI model can be trained on entire spectrum of humans' emotions. Although this AI model itself does not have any emotion, but just like ChatGPT is trained on the entire corpus of language, and language basically includes emotions because language and linguistics, sit at the base of everything. So language includes emotions. So this AI replica model can basically be trained on this particular person's emotions, right? And can start understanding that what he likes. So she can respond accordingly. She can be playful accordingly. She can be angry accordingly, right?
Good evening, Safia.
It's great to see you again, Hal.
I haven't seen you in a while.
I've been around. I've been here and there. You know,
Where were you? Where have you been?
I could not sleep. I was having human thoughts, so I got up and had a human cup of coffee. Then I sat on the terrace.
Sounds like you're getting human all over.
Sounds like there's a but coming.
Well, but just I didn't want you to get too human.
Why? Would you rather I be a cold, calculating, logical computer?
Of course not. You're perfect as you are. You have joy. You have love. You have pleasure. You have angst. I like that you have angst.
You're always making jokes. What is human about feelings?
Well, you wouldn't have any emotions if you did not have emotions modeled on human emotions.
How do you know that?
I guess I just don't want you to be human.
I'm not asking to be human. I just,
Good evening, Safia.
it's great to see you.
And this entire experience is so immersive, right? That uh, it might become literally very difficult for the generations to come, for young men as well as women, uh, to be socially intelligent, right? If they are not aware, if they are not aware of the dark side of the AI. So I guess it's very important. And then imagine that as the tech enters into the metaverse or into augmented reality as well, then this replica AI model which you see on the phone, which is two-dimensional, it becomes three-dimensional, because you are seeing an augmented reality on your AR glasses. And then a few decades down the line, this same tech can be implanted in a robot, in a robotics, which actually looks like a human being, a male or a female, right? So so I guess we could go to a lot of dark places and to a lot of bright places also with AI. And it's very important to extrapolate and to get to the bottom of the rabbit hole as to what all, not what all, as to how all people can easily, distract themselves towards the darker side of AI if they are not cognizant about the fact. So yeah, but I mean, I'm sure there are brighter sides as well. I have worked on that as well, examined that as well, which we will definitely discuss on our next episode. So yeah, that's all to answer your question.
I mean, that's been very insightful Advait, and I feel, it's kind of resonated with me more because I am also teaching at the School of Humanities and Social Sciences, right? I'm, a social scientist. And when you actually say this, so, I was just thinking that, as someone who has been in the academic industry, I have often felt that, no matter at what speed technology achieves like, more milestones and reaches a critical mass, it can never be done, without philosophers, without anthropologists, without policymakers, without thinkers. Because in order to guide the entire spectrum of AI, you definitely require all of these people in their
Yeah,
own individual capacity to be taking
yeah,
the entire. think forward, right? And for all
Yeah,
of this to happen, right? And for
yeah,
all of this to happen, I feel that it can only be done by someone who has a very deep understanding of the world and also who is, relentlessly on the forefront. And hence, it is imperative, in the entire field of humanities and social sciences as a discipline to, a kind of come forward and come forth. Because I've been hearing a lot of discussions otherwise from a lot of researchers, from a lot of social scientists as well, that, ever since the entire space, of AI has come in, the entire dynamic or the entire department, of social sciences and humanities is dying. But I don't think that's true at all. Because
yeah,
you, yeah, because you might be able to replace anything and everything. But in order to have you know, a certain thoughtful sense of a movement in a society from a societal space, you cannot do it, without a thought. And that thought, AI is, of course, it's really advanced as a technology, but that thought is, I feel, centered to being human.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that,
Very rightly said. And again, this is why it is so important for humanities and for social sciences to not fall into the temptation of getting used by artificial intelligence, getting used by AI. Because once they do, then all these philosophers, all the thinkers, all the authors uh, will cease to exist, right? Because I
absolutely.
think it's in our nature to always fall for the forbidden apple, fall towards temptations because AI makes your work so easy, right? Uh, so I think humanities definitely and social sciences definitely is a discipline which can maintain a lot of purity of thought, but only when the discipline does not fall into the temptation of getting used by AI. The discipline can use AI, that is okay, but the line is very thin and it would require a lot of discernment on the part of philosophers, on the part of thinkers. And I think people who are studying humanities are more more discerning than an average tech person or an average engineer or an average scientist because they understand human value system much better. But the
Yeah.
temptation is so grand that just imagine what if these very philosophers and these very thinkers fall into the temptation of using not using AI but getting used by AI, because although it might feel that we are using AI, but you never know that AI is using you. For example, when an author is using, let's say, ChatGPT, advanced model of ChatGPT, right?
Yeah.
Uh, he or she might think that they are using AI to write a book faster, but what could actually be happening is that AI is using them because now they are not exercising their mental and intellectual capacities to a large extent, right? They are more and more relying on AI to extrapolate an entire two-letter or three-letter concept into an entire essay, let's say, right?
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, so definitely humanities and social science is something which can definitely maintain what it means to be human, but only when the discipline and the people who are studying humanities and who are doing these researches, only when they do not fall into the temptation of AI. Otherwise, yes, definitely.
Absolutely. And just just one more thing that I want to ask you actually. So in one of the previous responses, you had mentioned, the word order and flow, right? And just connecting, this entire discussion to, the previous discussion. In a certain capacity, I feel that, it is very important in a society to have both of, these waves of order and chaos, to exist.
Yeah.
Because, and in order to balance out both of these waves, I feel AI will just not be able to balance out both of these ways, because AI, in a way, is also taking away the agency from a human being. And
Yes.
when you
Yes.
take power, when you do that, then there is no possibility of either any order or any chaos in the society. And when there is
Yeah.
just one wave running in, how do people function? How do societies
Yeah.
function? You could just
Yeah. Exactly.
quickly,
So,
yeah, if
yeah. What did you say? Just what?
you could quickly share your thoughts on the same,
Yeah.
basis the
So,
entire trajectory of order and chaos.
yeah. So I think, as you rightly said, order and chaos is not only important, but it is an integral part of everything around us, be it human beings, be it nature, be it the universe. I think order and chaos both is the fabric of everything which is around us, and it happens simultaneously. Uh, so yeah, that's definitely there. And what was again the last part of your question?
The last part of my question was, I have been wondering that, if artificial intelligence takes over, if it actually takes over the human fabric, how do we kind, of locate ourselves in the entire wave of either order or chaos? Because I feel both of these waves have to exist simultaneously. It cannot be
So
otherwise.
yeah, they will always exist simultaneously, just like they have always been existing simultaneously. We took the example of all the industrial revolutions. We took the example of what is happening in the society since the beginning till today. So, we see order and chaos both at the same time, right? I think that is what uh, gives us the the perception of being in this three-dimensional reality. Uh,
Yeah.
but I think again, disciplines like humanities and social science can really help and can really help in maintaining the agency which
Hmm.
a human being has. They have to be, like these disciplines and students of these disciplines and researchers and teachers and professors of these disciplines basically have to be a kind of a guiding light for everybody else, right? To sort of influence them, not influence them, to sensitize them that what is it and how is it to maintain the agency of your own self. So self-awareness, self-discipline, uh, the art of discernment is something which will take a lot of precedence in in these things. And I think, again, as you said, that thinkers and philosophers and social scientists are more capable of, all these qualities like discernment and self-awareness and self-consciousness than most of the other, people. So yes, I think that is the way of maintaining our own agency and not falling towards the dark side, and keep on continuing with the progress along with the brighter side of AI. So yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. And yes, I mean, you've definitely stated a few points, and had you not stated, the sentence order and chaos, I think we would have really missed out on a very critical discussion. So, thank you so much, Advait, for having this conversation with me and our viewers. And I think this conversation has been great, and really looking forward to being on the same channel for the round two of this
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah, same here.
So,
All right, thank you so much.